Alright, you bastards, this is Some-Belgian-prepper, and today I'm going to talk about how to, or actually show you how to make cheap candles, and there are several ways to do this. We're going to do how to recycle candles, and where's the cheapest way to get them, and how to make candles out of beeswax, just like we do now. So a colleague of me, and before we start, if you're interested in detective stories, this is the first part of an 11-part detective series that I wrote. If you're interested, look into the description. It's called Bloody Crosses. So let's get to it, because it's starting to melt. So a colleague of me is doing beekeeping, and he gave me all of these beeswax to whatever, and yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little parts of beeswax and I'm going to put them into this tin that I'm going to use with a gas stove. If you're wondering why I'm using this gas stove instead of using something like the Kelly kettle or my oven, well, that's because I do not have time to do it during the day, and yeah, it's kind of low on light on time. So now is the moment to do this, and I'm going to do this inside. So I'm going to take these parts of beeswax and I'm going to put them into this mixture. What I also did is first put some coconut oil into this. Why? Because if you mix the coconut oil with the beeswax, then it's going to be a longer burning time in duration if you're going to burn them. So, I'm going to put everything inside of this, and yeah, it's starting to melt really quick. And the thing is, if you know somebody who keeps bees, or if you are planning to keep bees, this is a great way to reuse the wax. There are several things you can do with the wax, but this is one of them, and this is the one I'm going to show you today. If I get more wax, I will probably try to do something else. And yeah, I think I'm almost through with the beeswax. You got to be actually very carefully by using this. You cannot just use this in any pan or container, because beeswax is hard to remove from a container. So do not use your best pot or pan to do this stuff. So yeah, it's starting to melt again. So I'm going to keep talking about what I'm going to do next. This is just one of those glass jars from vegetables. Here, this is the thing where I'm going to put my candles in. I would advise, if you're a prepper, to get enough candle wicks to reuse your candles, which I will show you after this. But the thing is, it's very hard to make this type of wicks, so I would advise to get a whole bag like I did, and you will be able to make a lot of candles that way. What I actually want to say is, if you're going to use something to put your candle inside of it, this is something that you could use, but I would prefer something with a smaller diameter. Why? Because it will burn in the inside. It will use the wax. The wick will use the wax. But the problem is, the wider the diameter of your candle holder is, the less chance there is that the sides will take on this, will burn it, and it will be left over. So it's kind of a hassle to remove it. So yeah, it's almost there. I'm going to stir it up a little bit. Oh. So yeah, I forgot a little part. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, you got to use smaller diameters. That's also the reason why I prefer to use tea lights with a small diameter instead of the big ones, because the smaller ones, yeah, they are a little bit smaller, but they will use everything, all the wax inside of the candle, in contrary to the bigger ones. And yeah, that could be a little bit of a hassle. I think most of it is now melted. So we're going to try to pour this into the... oh wait, still... So I'm going to try to pour this into the container. Be very carefully about this, because it's very, very hot. So yeah, I'm going to... don't try to make a mess, because like I said, it's very hard to remove this. And yeah, you got to watch the volume, because if you perhaps saw, this whole container was full of beeswax, and this is what's left in, even with the olive oil that I mixed with it. And yeah, that could be a little bit of a problem. So yeah, what you also can do is, because this is made out of beeswax, so you will have some sort of honey smell. But if you use any other type of candles, you could perhaps, if you prefer to, put some essential oils with it, and that way we can have a better smell with the burning. So yeah, I would say what you also can do is put some herbs in it, some dried herbs, and these will burn with the candle. But that could be a little bit bad for the structure of the candle while it's burning, but it's just a possibility to do. So what you do with one of those wicks is, what I like to do is, I'm going to put the wick around it, put it into the candle holder like this, and now we're going to let it rest, let it cool off, and then we will cut the wick, and yeah, then we have our candle. So I'm going to do now just the recycle of the candles, and I will show you the results of this project in the end. Alright, while this is melting, I will talk about the second point, and that is, you know how if you go to thrift stores, second-hand stores, and yeah, stores where people bring their used stuff, that's a good place to get very cheap candles. Especially handy if you're a prepper on a budget. And I would say you will find very good candles that a lot of people for some reason threw away, or because they are ugly. But I would say buy these. You can buy many candles very cheap in those sort of stores. But there is a caveat with this. As you can see, this once was a candle. It was like a pyramid shape on the top if you start to burn, and what are you left with these. So this is what I meant about that the diameter of the candles should be small, because otherwise you will get these will not burn up. And that's a reason why this video could be handy, so you know how to recycle used candles like this into new candles, and it will also save some money. So what are you going to do with this? The same thing goes for other types of candles. These are all the candles that I in the year have gathered that are leftovers. Some candles were just from a little less quality, or they were too white or in a very odd shape, but I kept them, and now I'm going to recycle them into candles. It's almost melted. Alright, so what are you going to do with normal candles? There is one thing you need to watch out for if you're going to boil this, and that is for toxic fumes. Yeah, sometimes there could be these kind of candles that people usually throw away, or they think they are too cheap enough to throw away. They could contain paraffin, which could be a little bit toxic if you inhale the fumes. Sometimes there could be some coloring that could be toxic in a way, in direct contact, toxic, or some perfume or essential oils that are not really natural, and when they burn they leave a chemical smoke or vapor behind. So watch out that you do not watch into the boiling pot and start to inhale the fumes. That's not really good. So that's something you need to watch out for. And next thing you need to watch out for is these candles are usually in the same kind of color in the range, but there could be a problem that if you have different kinds of colors, the color in general will look terrible. But we are not here about the artistic side. We're here to talk about the more practical and pragmatic side of recycling candles for prepping. So yeah, it's almost done. So what I do is, if you do not like me, because I'm an idiot, you can have all these kind of small glass jars to put them in with a wick, but unfortunately I do not have small jars enough to do this project. So I got thinking on how to improvise this, and I will try to do it with this. This is just a normal glass, and what do I do with it? As you can see, I put some aluminum foil into it in a shape, flatten it on the beneath it, so you can still put a candle on. So what you do, so when I pour it in, put a wick on, and let it get cold. If I take it out, I can take it out like this, or that should be the plan. So we'll see if I fail or not. And yeah, so I would say let's try this because it's started to melt. Another small detail. So this is another small detail. This is a piece of plastic from still left over from a candle. So yeah, it's a little sticky. You bastards. Yeah. So that's also something you need to watch out for. The plastic could also melt and leave toxic fumes. So be sure that if you put some candles into it, that you take all the plastic off. Like this, there's still some sort of barcode beneath it. So I will now try to pour it in without any accidents. Or should I put a second layer on it? Well, let's see. Oh. It seems to hold. Alright. I was not sure that this is improvised way would work, but we're going to give it the same treatment as the beeswax candle. We're going to put the wick around. This should be long enough. I'll put it in the middle. Alright, now I'm going to let this one cool, and by the power of editing you will see if I fail or succeeded in 50%, 0% or 100% in this endeavor. So yeah, we'll see about that. Alright, so the candles have their time to get a little bit cold, except for this one. This one is still a little bit warm, but I did that one later and did not put it in the fridge to quick down, do a quick cool down. So let's see how we held up with the candles. Alright, just a small leak, just a few drops got beneath it. We'll take this one up. Right, let's see. Oh, nope. This one is still a little bit, how do you say this, fluid from the inside. So yeah, but the shape is already on the outside. The shape has already went well. So with this one, I would say it worked. It has worked, but it still needs to cool down a little bit further. I'm going to cut off the tip. Alright, if you cut down the tips, you can still reuse this part of the wicks for smaller candles. If you like, you can reuse one of those tea lights, the aluminium foil that were they're in. You can reuse those with the smaller wicks, so that's not really a waste. Alright, so this one is it worked because it can stand on its own. You can put them somewhere here or leave in something like this. I know that this will not be the most beautiful candle, but it's a candle nonetheless that will be usable, made out of recycled materials. Alright, let's see how this works. This is the one with the beeswax. So wait. we'll have to use the matches. All right, that one failed. We'll do it this way because these matches are a bit. There we go. Right. Right. Let's settle it down a little bit. This one is also a little bit too warm, but if you can see, it's kind of, it will work. It's kind of a little bit has a little bit of a too big diameter, but just have to wait a few moments till till it reaches the, how do you say this, the beneath side of the beeswax. You already get a certain smell of honey with the beeswax, so I'm just a little bit afraid that, that I might have to use a little bit too much coconut oil, so that it will get to become too much of a fluid, because that's something I made a video on, how to make a candle out of coconut oil, and the problem was it was good to a certain point where there was most of the coconut oil warmed up with the contents of the jar that I used it in, and the problem was the wick did not got steady ground inside of the pot, so it went to the side and it how do you say this, it extinguished himself out, so that was a kind of a problem, and yeah, it went down, and yeah, I would say this is a success. I'm happy with it. Seems to work, did not extinguish, so yeah, gets a little bit of a honey smell, so that's also good. And yeah, this was some tips on how to recycle candles, or how to make candles at your home. I would say get as much tea light candles and regular candles as you can. These are things that will never go bad, that will never degrade. So I would say buy all the tea candle lights that you can find. It's a good investment, it's a good barter item, and you, like I said, it's just, you can even pass them to your children if you never use them. So yep, so this was my video about recycling candles and how to make a candle out of beeswax. Yeah, still looks good. So I would say subscribe. Thank you for watching. Leave a remark if you get more experience with candle making, and have some tips to make it better, smell better, make the burning time a little bit longer, so more economical. If you got any tips on that, I'm always eager to learn. And yeah, except for this one, this one is still a little bit too warm. So yeah, I would say thank you and see you in the next video. Cheers.